Some rich scumbag in a turban is ranting about poor people being scum. This clown is crushing his cup, screaming at peasants to work harder and pay taxes. The woman with him casually warns him he might attract the attention of Bloodhand. Turban Lord scoffs at the idea, dismissing the legendary assassin as a children's story. He suddenly gets confused, asking his companion what the hell they're doing. The person he's with just shows off their red nails and a collection of perfumes. Our guy, still in disguise, gives him a smug look, asking if it isn't all lovely. Turban Lord goes on a whole misogynistic rant about women only caring about appearances. The creep decides it's time to get handsy, thinking he's about to score. And like every villain ever, he starts monologuing about his master plan to rule the country. He gets even more grabby, going on about how he needs a mountain of cash. But his hand grabs something he definitely wasn't expecting, and his face is pure shock. The dude absolutely loses it, screaming about why the person he's with is a guy. Next thing you know, there's a massive blood splatter across the screen. Our boy hits him with the coldest line, asking when he ever claimed to be a woman. Turban Lord, now with a slashed eye, pulls a sword and calls our guy a monster. Our dude just casually blocks the sword with his bare, now blood-soaked hand. And just like that, Turban Lord is on the floor while our boy inspects his handiwork. Our guy then mocks him, asking if he really thought the assassins of justice were real. The scumbag slumps against the wall, leaving a literal bloody handprint. Talk about irony. Our guy walks off into the night as the narrator starts hyping him up. He drops the disguise, revealing his true face as the being that eliminates evil. The monologue ends, calling him the sole protector of the country's peace. We then get a quick history lesson about the desert kingdom of Southard. Turns out the kingdom survived thanks to some superpowered people called gem users. But like always, once things got peaceful, the powerful dudes got greedy and corrupt. The only ones fighting back were a group of female assassins known as Bloodhand. And boom, we're hit with a flashback to 8 years ago. Time for the origin story. Some little punk is screaming at a kid on the ground, calling him pathetic. We see a group of bullies ganging up on a small, white-haired kid. The lead bully flexes his magic, mocking the kid for not being able to use prana. They then blast the poor kid with their energy, telling him to get lost. Suddenly, a little girl with a blue sword comes charging in to save the day. This girl, Lily Curtis, starts yelling at the bullies for ganging up on someone. The bullies see it's Lily and immediately decide to run for it. She's got a rep. She stands over the white-haired kid, telling the punks to never come back. The kid is revealed to be our boy, Chris Cruz, thanking Lily for the save. Lily helps Chris up, complaining that he's always getting picked on by these idiots. She promises that she'll become a great gem user and a knight just to protect him. Our boy Chris just looks up at her, a little stunned, and agrees to her plan. Young Chris is having breakfast, telling his mom her cooking is the best. His mom, Sonia Cruz, lovingly calls him a squirrel for talking with his mouth full. Chris asks his mom why her cooking always makes him feel so damn energetic. Sonia reveals her secret is a special blend of herbs she makes herself. The kid immediately wants to learn the recipe, and she promises to teach him later. Chris narrates that his dad died from an epidemic before he could even remember him. He explains that even his mom, a master herbalist, couldn't save his dad in time. So, she channeled all that guilt into making herbal dishes to strengthen Chris's body. But her day job as an apothecary apparently wasn't cutting it for the bills. He remembers how she would sneak out every single night for a mysterious second job. Chris says those quiet dinners with her were the only real happiness he had. And of course, he says he never expected that simple happiness to get wrecked. He starts getting suspicious, wondering where she's going dressed like that at night. Like any curious kid, he decides to follow her through the dark streets. He tracks her to a massive mansion, realizing it's the old finance minister's crib. Peeking over the wall, he sees a body on the ground and starts freaking out. Suddenly, his mom goes full-on assassin mode, taking out guards with glowing red eyes. Our boy is just frozen in shock, processing that his sweet mom just murdered someone. She calmly inspects her bloody hand while a body lies at her feet. Cold. A bloody handprint is left on the ground, connecting her to the Bloodhand assassins. Young Chris is absolutely floored, realizing his sweet mom is a Bloodhand assassin. The kid immediately panics and decides to get the hell out of there. But in classic protagonist fashion, he trips and eats dirt while trying to escape. Sonia spots him and screams for him to run as a guard rushes them. She gets stabbed from behind while shielding Chris from a surprise attack. Sonia clutches her side, realizing the blade was laced with poison. Chris runs to his mother as she collapses to her knees in the courtyard. The kid points out the brutal irony of a master healer dying from poison. Crying, Chris asks his mom why she took the blade meant for him. Out of nowhere, some new badass shows up and starts carving up the guards. This dude, Jaina, casually dispatches the last assassin while smoking a cigarette. Sonia holds Chris, relieved that her backup has finally arrived on the scene. She apologizes to her son for hiding her secret life as an assassin. With her last words, she passes the torch, telling Chris he's the next Bloodhand. Chris desperately tries to keep her awake, telling her they have to go home. The poor kid is just breaking down, begging his mom to wake up. He's left sobbing over his mother's body in the middle of the courtyard. Jaina just snatches Chris, telling the brat they don't have time for this. He orders another guy named Glenn to handle Sonia's body as they make their escape. Later, Jaina stands over a completely broken Chris who's kneeling on the floor. Our boy Chris is still in shock, barely able to say his mother's name. Jaina, the new guy, immediately grabs the traumatized kid by the collar. This dude, Jaina Blitz, starts screaming that Chris got his own mother killed. Chris is just frozen, processing that this guy is blaming him for being there. Jaina doubles down, telling Chris he basically killed his mom with his own hands. The kid is completely broken, internalizing that he's the reason his mother is dead. Jaina then hits him with a pop quiz, asking if he even knows why Sonia was an assassin. He explains she did it all to protect her kid and create a safe world for him. We get a flashback of Sonia kicking ass as Jaina explains she gave it everything she had. Jaina admits she wasn't in it for the cash and died protecting her son. He clenches his fist, pissed that the legend of the Bloodhand ends so pathetically. Jaina lays it out. With Sonia gone, the corrupt bigwigs are about to run wild. Chris, looking completely lost, asks what the hell he's supposed to do now. Jaina just screams that he'll probably starve since he can't even use prana. We get a quick lesson that prana is the life force inside everyone. The narrator explains gem users channel prana, and Chris confirms he's got none. Our boy is on the floor, wishing he could use prana and become a gem user like Lily. He tries to summon his non-existent energy, wondering why he's so useless. But wait, a faint glow starts sparking up from inside his body. Jaina gets annoyed, but a flashback reveals Sonia asked him to entrust Chris to her. Jaina drops Chris off at some fancy building, telling the kid this is his new home. A new blonde woman, Layla Flavia, stumbles out asking what all the damn noise is about. Layla immediately starts teasing Jaina, asking if our boy Chris is his secret stepkid. She then guesses Chris is a new test subject, and Jaina just calls her rude as hell. Jaina clarifies that Chris is Sonia's kid and that he's officially Layla's problem now. Layla's whole demeanor changes, looking genuinely sad to hear about what happened to Sonia. She kneels down to get a better look at Chris, admitting he does look like his mom. Her mood flips again as she decides she'll take him in just because he's cute. Then she gets a creepy look, saying Chris will make the perfect little dress-up doll. Jaina has to step in and tell this weirdo to respect the kid's personal space. He tries to reassure Chris that Layla is a genius researcher, even if she's a bit lazy. And with that, Jaina just dips, leaving our traumatized boy with a total stranger. Layla, now the designated guardian, awkwardly offers to make the kid some breakfast. She admits she was so deep in her research she completely lost track of time. This so-called genius immediately trips and faceplants right in front of the kid. Layla pops back up and has the absolute audacity to ask the orphan if he can cook. Our boy Chris, ever the trooper, quietly says he can handle simple meals. He gets right to work, chopping ingredients just like his mom probably taught him. Layla is absolutely blown away by the food, acting like it's the best thing she's ever eaten. She holds up the empty bowl, shouting that it's her first real meal in 3 days. Layla freaks out, asking if her prana just spiked from the kid's soup. Chris just stands there holding a knife, while Layla looks completely spooked. She immediately jumps to conclusions, asking if the traumatized kid is thinking about offing himself. Our boy Chris just stares blankly, still holding the kitchen knife. Layla sighs, grabs the kid, and just says, "Come with me. This can't be good." She starts yanking his clothes off, and Chris is understandably confused as hell. Our boy is trying to figure out what the hell is happening as she keeps stripping him. The narration confirms she's just ripping his clothes right off him. And just like that, our boy is in a frilly dress, narrating that he's a girl now. Chris is having a full-blown identity crisis, wondering why he's wearing a dress. Layla starts squeezing him, gushing about how adorable he is and that she knew it. She gets a real creepy look, declaring him her personal cook and lab rat from now on. Chris is not cool with the lab rat part of this new arrangement. Layla clarifies he's her dress-up doll and has no choice since he's living in her house. Then she gets dead serious, promising that as long as she's alive, he won't die. Our boy Chris just stares, letting that heavy promise sink in. He flashes back to Jaina's brutal words about why his mom became an assassin. Chris realizes his mom died to protect him, and dying would make her sad. He finds his resolve, declaring he'll live on and make his mother proud someday. Layla gives him a genuine smile, saying it sounds like he's going to be just fine. Layla pats Chris on the head, basically making the orphan her new live-in caretaker. She tells him to enjoy the dress as she leaves, and our boy is internally screaming hell no. Chris decides he should thank Layla for, not letting him die on the street. Our boy stares at his reflection, probably wondering how his life ended up like this. He then decides he should thank Jaina too, the guy who screamed that he killed his mom. The narration confirms he can't go back home, so he's stuck with the weird researcher. Thanks to Layla, his mom actually got a proper funeral, which is surprisingly decent of her. Chris lays flowers on his mother's grave while Layla and some old guy watch over him. He tells his mom he'll be okay, asking her to rest in peace. Kids handling this better than most adults. 3 days later, we're back at Layla's lab/house. Chris is already on maid duty while Layla is passed out with a book on her face. Suddenly, Lily is at the door, banging it down and screaming for Chris to come out. She's pissed he's ditching their prana training, reminding him of his dream to be a gem user. Lily keeps yelling that she's not okay with him getting bullied for having no prana. Layla, woken up by the racket, asks Chris if he's gonna go see his noisy friend. Our boy looks determined, deciding it's time to face his childhood friend. Chris walks out and just drops the "my mother is dead" bomb, but Lily already knows. Lily hits him with some tough love, saying that staying down won't change a damn thing. Chris actually smiles, agreeing with her and finding his footing again. He turns away, telling a confused Lily that he's been thinking the same thing. Our boy Chris finds his resolve, saying he won't mope around and make his dead mom sad. He turns to Lily and asks if she'll help him with his prana training again. Lily is absolutely hyped, grabbing his arm and promising to make him strong. But then she gets a real serious look on her face, leaning in close. She finally asks why the hell he's wearing a dress, questioning his new taste. Chris admits Layla, the weird researcher, forced him into it. Then the little dude blushes and admits he's embarrassed to say he kinda likes it. Lily gets pissed, complaining it's unfair he looks cuter than she does. She storms off in a huff, leaving a very confused Chris behind. She spins around, yelling that she's not mad while clearly being very mad. Out of nowhere, some shady dude grabs Lily and she gets snatched up. The kidnapper just sprints through the crowded street with her. Chris is just standing there in shock, wondering what the hell just happened. He gets knocked over by the crowd as the kidnapper makes a clean getaway. On the ground, Chris realizes he's completely powerless to save her by himself. The kid immediately sprints back to Layla's place for help. He bursts in, screaming that Lily's been kidnapped and he doesn't know what to do. Layla grabs the panicking kid by the shoulders and tells him to calm the hell down. She pulls out some glowing green gem while Chris watches from the floor. Layla sends out a magic bird, explaining they can't just search blindly for the culprit. Layla explains that Lily's family, House Curtis, has been cranking out nights for generations. She speculates the kidnappers targeted Lily because she's the youngest and an easy target. Layla figures it's either a ransom job or someone has a serious grudge against the family. She then hits our boy with a heavy question, asking if he'd save Lily if he had the power. Chris screams that of course he would, and Layla gets a creepy grin, saying she has a plan. She comes back holding his mom's old assassin gear, and our boy immediately recognizes it. Layla lays it on him, become a Bloodhand, and maybe you can save your friend. Our boy Chris is completely floored by the idea of becoming an assassin like his mom. He points out he can't use prana, but Layla says the suit will solve that little problem. The kid puts on the suit and is immediately blasted with a massive wave of energy. He's freaking out, feeling prana for the first time, while Layla confirms he's Sonia's kid. Layla explains the suit will teach him how to use prana and hands him a sword. She tells him to give it a shot, and the kid looks ready to go full shonen protagonist. Chris takes a swing, channeling a massive amount of purple energy into the blade. He stares at his glowing hand, completely stunned that he can actually use prana now. Layla yells at him for the sudden attack, then casually mentions the sword is blunt anyway. She asks Chris about his mom, confirming that Sonia was a master healer. Layla reveals Sonia's secret ingredient was prana-amplifying herbs she cooked with. Turns out our boy has been eating super soldier food his whole life, giving him adult-level prana. Layla explains the assassin suit was made for Sonia, who also couldn't use prana, making it perfect for him. Our boy Chris realizes his mom was just like him, unable to use prana on her own. He gets suspicious, asking Layla how the hell she knows so much about his mom and the assassins. Layla gets defensive, calling him rude for even thinking she's not that amazing. She gets smug, telling him she's going to have fun at his expense while tying her own hands up. The so-called genius researcher then trips over her own feet as Chris just stares, unimpressed. A mysterious messenger shows up at the door and hands our boy a note. The dude just dips without a word, leaving Chris holding the cryptic message. Layla pops up, calling the messenger a total sourpuss for his silent treatment. Chris looks down at the note, wondering what the hell it says. Layla reveals the note has Lily's location, a warehouse in the West District. Our boy is immediately fired up, thanking her and getting ready to charge in. Layla yanks him back by the collar, telling the kid not to be a dumbass. She gives him the classic Assassin 101, strike under the cover of night. Chris agrees, and Layla decides to give him a gift for his bravery. She pulls out a green gem, which Chris recognizes as a green Aaron car. Layla explains it's a custom-made power-up she saved just for him. He puts the gem on his forehead, feeling the power surge through his body. Chris, now glowing with energy, declares it's finally his turn to save Lily. The scene shifts to the city at night, setting the stage for the rescue mission. Our boy, now in full assassin gear, sneaks into the warehouse and is relieved to see Lily is okay. He finds Lily tied up and unconscious on the floor. Poor girl can't catch a break. Our boy Chris scopes out the warehouse from above, counting only 3 guards. The narrator hypes up the red gem on his suit and Alan Carl that draws out his power. In a flashback, Layla explains a potion she gave him can slice through solid iron. Chris opens the vial and recognizes the familiar scent of a cactus flower. He coats his hand with the glowing liquid, getting ready to throw down. Like a pro, our guy sneaks up on the first shirtless goon standing guard. The guard finally spots him and is completely baffled by the kid in an assassin outfit. Chris tries to sound tough, declaring he can't let them threaten the peace. The kidnappers just laugh their asses off, calling him a brat who's shaking in his boots. The 3 goons decide they've had enough and charge right at him. They surround our boy, thinking he's just some easy prey they can squash. The lead dumbass gets in his face, mocking him for showing up to a sword fight with no sword. Chris answers by karate chopping the dude's sword, shattering the blade into pieces. He looks at his own glowing hand, just as surprised as the goon that it actually worked. The leader, now unarmed, screams at his buddies to stop gawking and just crush the kid. Chris moves like a blur, taking out the other 2 guards in a flurry of strikes. The last guy standing is absolutely floored, wondering how a kid has so much prana. Our boy, now glowing with power, tells the last goon to release Lily if he wants to live. Suddenly, a much bigger dude appears, calling his own men idiots for losing to a kid. The last goon standing rats out our boy to his boss, blaming him for using weird prana. The boss uses his own dude as a human shield, screaming about how the ransom plan is ruined. Chris is absolutely shocked that this scumbag would sacrifice his own men without a second thought. The boss confirms he's trash, saying his men are worthless next to the cash he'll get for Lily. This new villain powers up with ice magic, giving Chris props for his courage before promising to kill him. He forms a sword out of pure ice, showing off his condensed prana like it's a new toy. Our boy Chris looks genuinely worried for the first time, realizing this guy is on another level. The boss summons 3 massive ice spears from the ceiling, ready to turn Chris into a shish kebab. Chris barely dodges the attack, jumping out of the way just as the spears are about to hit. He slides across the icy floor, narrowly avoiding getting impaled by the attack. The boss starts mocking him for just running away while Chris looks like he's running on fumes. The creep lunges forward, vowing to sell our boy to the slavers for a pretty penny. Meanwhile, Layla casually mentions she forgot to tell Chris his power-up has a time limit. Chris on the ground decides he has to end this now and starts gathering what little energy he has left. He looks up in total shock as some last-minute backup arrives out of nowhere. Our boy gets a look of pure determination, ready to use this sudden opening to his advantage. 2 mysterious new guys with twin ice blades appear and block the boss's attack. The kidnapper boss is absolutely livid, demanding to know who the hell just crashed his party. We get an intro for one of the new guys, Glenn Ritter, who's asking his boss for orders. The pretty boy leader just smirks, saying there's no point in introduction since the villain is already dead. Our boy Chris recognizes Jaina, the same asshole who screamed at him after his mom died. Jaina immediately starts roasting the kidnapper boss, calling him a weakling who can't use prana. The ice boss absolutely loses his shit, powering up and screaming at the new guy. The big dumbass charges forward, ready to get his ass handed to him. Jaina just smirks, casually sparking up some lightning like it's nothing. The ice boss's attack gets blocked without Jaina even breaking a sweat. Jaina moves so fast the boss's eyes can't even keep up with him. And just like that, the big bad is on the floor with Jaina's boot on his back. Jaina stands over him like a king, gloating about how big the power gap is. He then reveals he knows all about this guy's history as a serial kidnapper. We get a quick montage of the boss being a total piece of shit for money. Our boy Chris declares that as a Bloodhand, he can't let this scumbag live. The kidnapper gets a blade to the throat and it looks like his time is up. Chris is told to show his resolve and inherit the Bloodhand title right here. He flashes back to his mom's dying words, passing the assassin torch to him. Then he remembers Layla telling him this was the only way to save people. And finally, a flashback to Lily, vowing to become a knight to protect him. Chris's eyes narrow with determination, ready to do what needs to be done. Our boy walks away as Glenn carries the rescued Lily on his back. Glenn carries the sleeping Lily, who's finally safe thanks to her friends. Lily wakes up, remembering a mysterious girl who looked suspiciously like Chris. She's completely disoriented, trying to figure out where the hell she is. Chris and some new blonde woman, probably Lily's mom, tell her she's safe at home. Lily immediately grabs our boy, asking if he saw the strange girl who rescued her. Her mom plays it cool, saying Lily was just dreaming and that knights brought her back. Lily seems to buy it for now, thanking her mom, but still looking a little doubtful. The mom is just glad she's safe and immediately tries to dip back to her research. The disappointment hits Lily as she realizes Chris wasn't the one who saved her. Our boy Chris is confused by her reaction, while Lily quickly tries to play it off. She tells Chris she's calmed down and is heading home, trying to act normal. But she stops in her tracks, deciding that something about this whole situation isn't right. She clenches her fist, unable to just let go of her promise to protect him. With tears in her eyes, Lily vows to become a knight so she can protect Chris herself. Elsewhere, Jaina sits like a king, declaring that there's no turning back now. Our boy Chris, decked out in his assassin gear, looks up with pure determination. We cut to some kids on the street who think the Bloodhand are actually heroes. One of them explains that the assassins are the ones who beat up the real bad guys. Another kid says screw that, he wants to be a legit knight commander instead. A new white-haired woman named Tina appears, and the kids immediately panic and run. Tina just smirks, watching the little troublemakers scatter like she's seen it all before. The kids from before are screaming and running away from the white-haired woman. Tina watches them scatter while they complain about their dads being at the tavern. The white-haired woman, Tina, heads into what looks like a tavern herself. We see a grown-up Chris with a ponytail, looking like he's working. A hand flips the tavern sign to open, officially kicking off the time skip. We get an establishing shot of the desert city at night. The scene cuts to a lively tavern full of people drinking and eating. A group of patrons calls out to Chris for more food and drinks. Our boy Chris, now the tavern owner, cheerfully takes the order. Look at him all grown up. Chris serves the table so fast that one of the customers is completely stunned. The woman at the table grabs our boy's sleeve to get his attention. Turns out it's an older Lily Curtis, now an 18-year-old knight, trying to cut her brother off. Chris whispers to Lily that he watered down the beer and she asks for another favor. Lily uses her prana to carry 2 massive barrels while Chris just walks behind her. She mentions that if Chris could use prana, he could handle this stuff himself. Chris plays it cool, saying he prefers cooking over using prana anyway. Meanwhile, some patrons are pissed about a new minister hoarding all the supplies. The guys complain that this new minister is worse than the war. Sounds familiar. Chris brings them more drinks, telling them to be careful with that kind of talk. He leans in and warns them not to say stuff like, "war was better," out loud. A patron tells Chris this new minister jacked his land over a bogus tax claim. His buddy tells him to lay off the booze before he says something he'll regret. The friend then starts throwing shade at the knights for not doing their damn jobs. Lily, the actual knight sitting right there, overhears this and is visibly pissed off. She gets a determined look, thinking they just need to catch the scumbag responsible. Chris tells her there's another way to punish corrupt officials the law can't touch. He leans in and casually brings up the rumors about the Bloodhand assassins. The patron scoffs, saying if Bloodhand is real, they should handle this Rajendra bastard. Our boy Chris walks away from the table, his next mission basically gift-wrapped for him. He narrates about how corruption always finds a way to escape the law. The monologue continues, explaining how the rich and powerful just buy their freedom. A note gets slid under his door and Chris is waiting to receive his orders. He reads the note, confirming his next target is the same minister, Rajendra. Chris connects the mission to the customer's story, giving him a personal reason to act. And just like that, our boy is back in the dress, getting ready for his night job. He puts on some lipstick, vowing to eradicate evil for the sake of peace. We get the full reveal of his assassin persona, looking ready to take out the trash. The scene cuts to the target, Rajendra, sleeping as our guy's boots enter the room. The corrupt minister is sleeping soundly, completely unaware he's about to be judged. Rajendra wakes up in a panic, demanding to know who the hell is in his bedroom. Our boy Chris, in full assassin mode, smugly asks if the minister wants an answer. The minister, Rajendra, laughs off the threat, calling the idea of him dying nonsense. Chris starts reading this dude his laundry list of crimes, starting with the tax hikes. He continues, mentioning how Rajendra staged incidents to cover his tracks. The minister starts sweating, screaming that Chris has no proof of any of his crimes. Chris just gives a cold smile, saying that's exactly why he's here. This dumbass minister thinks it's a shakedown, asking if Chris is just trying to extort him. Our guy clarifies that he can't accept money that was stolen from the people. Rajendra finally notices the red nails, and the gears in his tiny brain start turning. Chris lays down the final judgment, calling the minister selfish beyond redemption. The minister absolutely loses it, screaming that Chris must be a Bloodhand assassin. Our boy just smirks, confirming that the scumbag already knew who he was dealing with. Rajendra grabs an alarm rope, vowing he won't die before kissing up to the king. He pulls the rope and screams that Chris is the one who's about to get erased. 2 masked goons suddenly appear, asking to be paid well for the late-night gig. The minister points at Chris, ordering his new muscle to kill the Bloodhand assassin. Our guy Chris looks completely unimpressed, sarcastically calling the goons specimens. The 2 masked henchmen charge right at Chris, ready to throw down. Chris looks down on them with disgust, calling them vulgar creatures. He effortlessly blocks a punch from one of the goons with a single arm. The 2 masked goons are completely shocked that our boy just stopped their attack cold. More guards swarm in and Chris tells them they served the wrong master. In the blink of an eye, our guy is standing over a pile of unconscious guards. The minister is now in full panic mode, throwing shit and screaming for him to stay back. Chris casually catches a vase mid-air, shattering it with his grip just to show off. Our boy grabs the minister by the scruff of his neck, looking completely done with him. He asks the scumbag if he's prepared to die, then the scene cuts to him asking if the deed is done.